I want to thank Ruben for bringing you today's video via his support on Patreon. Kozilek the Great Distortion versus Niv Mizzet Reborn, Sidar and Kotis. 3-lander, and we have the mana ramp in hand, nothing but actually, so keep. We see some basic land cycling from the Ash Barrens and Kotis, fixing his green mana with that. Scryland for Sidar. We draw into Ugin. I actually built the deck for the new Ugin because I wanted to play with it, so we'll see if we actually draw into it. Play the Manifold Key. Sky Diamond, and some 2-mana ramp for Sidar, fixes the colours as well with Arcane Signet. And we draw another waste. I suppose we best start getting Summoning Sickness off our manlands, so play Mutavault, and if we accelerate ahead here, we're not putting that much mana into Everflowing Chalice, but it does allow us to get the 4-mana rocks down, or one of them next turn. Ornery Tumblewag, put a plus counter on it at the beginning of combat. If it attacks while saddled, double the number of plus counters on a creature. So I'm assuming it's a plus counters build with Kotis. After this game I need to try and record the mutate version of Kotis that I built upon request of a few viewers. The Idyllic Tutor is going to search for an enchantment, and the enchantment searched up is Phyrexian Arena, so we know what he's doing next turn. Chromatic Lantern fixes the colours of the 5-colour player. Alright, Blink Mothern cares about artifacts. I don't think we can get that out here. Mishra's Factory. No, we can't, so it will be Golem's Eye should be fine. And then we could make 3 mana in total, thanks to untapping the Eye, but again that doesn't do anything, so just pass. Herd Heirloom, taps for a mana of any colour. Until end of turn, creature with power 4 or greater gains trample, and whenever it deals damage to a player, draw 1 card. And down comes Kotis. It can saddle even though it has Summoning Sickness, so this is going to double the plus counters after it puts a plus counter onto the Kotis, and it decides to double the plus counters on the commander. Adeline, Resplendent Cathar, so decided against putting Phyrexian Arena into play, curiously, 3 cards in hand, so he's a couple of turns away from this doing a single thing. Smothering Tithe for the 5-colour player, so he gets his first treasure because we're going to say no. I think we can say no. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4 into Hedron Archive. That will leave us with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 into the Blink Mothern. So I think we just want to do that as opposed to paying for a treasure. So I'll use the Manifold Key to just untap the other mana rock here. Gains a little bit of mana. Yeah, I was thinking we might be able to swing in with a manland here, but we can't do that anyway. So play the Blink Mothern, and hopefully we gain more advantage from this than our opponents do, which is the whole point of course. But there are a few artifacts being controlled by our opponents, and there'll be treasure over here as well unfortunately. But we've just drew into Rise of the Eldrazi, and we've got Ugin the Spirit Dragon, so we just need to try and make as much mana as possible and disrupt the board. Managed to get a 1-mana Commander Sphere into play thanks to our additional mana that we gave him. And then plays a Hollowmurk Siege, and decided to choose Abzan. Whenever you attack, put a plus counter on an attacking creature, it gains Menace. And then another artifact, Power Fist, so definitely gone for a plus counter theme. So that is now a 4-3, it's going to get plus counters, and I think this is an attack trigger. Yeah, so it will get the buff before it hits. So as it's attacking in, it's a 5-4 trample, although this hasn't been saddled, so it's not going to double the plus counters, because of course there's only one creature that can saddle it. We get the now 6-5 Menace Commander, and the Tumblewag went into the right. So we want to get Ugin in play as soon as possible and exile the board. Problem is the Ugin isn't going to exile all the colourless stuff he gets off us here. He takes our Mindslaver, and our Chimil, he gets some good stuff off us. Unwinding Clock. Warping Whale exiled the Adeline, which is power or toughness, 1 or less. It was only a 1-4, thanks to not having any other creatures in play. I always pointed out, but you don't have to swing in with this, so you can set up your other creatures ready for an attack and then dump this in before combat. I think he definitely should have gone for the Phyrexian Arena last turn, but he was probably scared of this. So now Chimil is going to get him some more free stuff. Looks as though we're going to see a decent Kotis game here. Rishkar, Pima Renegade into play. Our other 2 opponents only have 3 cards in hand each, so I'm not sure how much spot removal they'll use. Pima puts a counter on itself. This is now a 4-4, and Kotis is a 12-11 after the Power Fist hit. Noteworthy that he is holding up double blue over here. Only, again, one card in hand though, so this is the trouble with Kotis. You rely on your opponents for card advantage and don't necessarily keep any cards in hand yourself. Now he gets down the Phyrexian Arena and Sadar. So what's the highest CMC here? Just 4 out of the coloured permanents, I think. I'm just considering the Ugin minusing down. That will get rid of the Smothering Tithe also. 3 treasure over here. Makes a lot more artifacts for the Blinkmoth Urn, so he gets 4 colourless. And so then we see Niv Mizzet Reborn. This will tap for 5 colours when the next turn cycle rolls round. Feyburrow Elder. It is the full 5/5 Vigilance as well. 3 visits after that, 4 cards in hand. Fixes his colours a bit better. Doesn't have any green lands actually. Not that that matters as long as the Chromatic Lantern stays in play. Okay, so I imagine that the Mind Slavery is being pointed straight at us, and I don't want to deal with it, so Smothering Tithe. Rise of the Eldrazi is 12 mana. We'll get 5 mana from the urn, plus another 5 is 10, 11, 12. So we could pay for Tithe here, but we've just drawn into Lightning Greaves I want to play, so we'll let them have the treasure. Let's try to cast this immediately. And I'll go for destroying the Mind Slaver, seeing as how Ugin can't deal with it. We draw the 4 cards, and we take an extra turn after this one. He is holding up priority, so he might have counter magic, but thankfully for us, this is so expensive it can't be countered. Might have some means of hexproof though. Tamiyo Safekeeping, Heroic Intervention, something like that. Decides to tap and sacrifice Commander Sphere, trying to draw into the protection maybe. Draws a card to that, triggers Smothering Tithe again, and just pays for the tax on the Tithe instead. And so us drawing generates more treasure mana for the Tithe player. We're going to get 2 more artifacts down here because we've got that Mana Rock, Liquimetal Torque and the Lightning Greaves we can play. Obviously just drew into these off the sorcery. Have we made a land yet? We haven't made a land either, so do we go... Let's just play Blinkmoth Nexus because it's a man land. And yeah, I think we'll just get the 2 artifacts down because it's more mana, like we said. And now we have to go -5 on the Ugin, thanks to the Niv Mizzet. Assuming that we actually land that thing. Maybe we can go for the Kozilek and try and counter something. He might have Dovin's Veto or something that can't be countered, but that might be an idea. So anyway, starting our extra turn, there is a duplicate for us which can deal with the Kotis if we need it. Generate mana from the urn again during the main phase, and there we go, 7 mana. So 1 additional mana is the Ugin, and then our commander is 10 mana, which would leave us with 2 mana. So do we just try and land the commander? We won't have duplicate for Kotis, but we can always try and chump block with Kozilek. Drop a land. We draw fewer cards if we don't go for Ugin first, but I think that's fine. So we're only drawing 4 cards here. And Smothering Tithe again, that's again the downside of trying to fish for counter magic out of the Niv Mizzet player's hand. But we do have a 2 mana creature that we can discard to hopefully a counter spell for Ugin. Untap Golem's Eye. Let's try and get Greaves on the Kozilek. Priority is being held up by this player, but he's passing it quite quickly, so try Ugin. Alright, that came down quickly as well, so definitely 5, I'll just double check. 5 keeps Ugin in play and near enough wipes the board. Although we gave our opponent a lot of treasure to test the waters there, but Smothering Tithe has gone down for good now at least. So we could play the Hedron Crawler, but I'd like to hold it up as counter magic like I said. Got a decent number of different CMC cards here. I think Niv Mizzet with all that mana is going to be the one that can interfere with us the most. So I'll just hope that we don't see any haste. This player scoops at the first sign of adversity, although the game's been a bit fast for him. So again, we'll just hope for no haste. If we lose Ugin, then so be it. Could always counter a Greaves with the Crawler. But if the game goes much quicker, then we're not going to see the new Ugin, which is what I designed the deck for. It's the only problem with Commander. If you want to specifically play with something in the 99, you kind of just have to tutor it out and hope that it sticks in play. Still has 3 artifacts in play, so the urn is still generating additional mana. This is destroy a non-land permanent. After that it will be mill 3 and then return target creature from graveyard to hand. Not sure what permanent he's going after. It's probably the Ugin. I'd rather it stays in play, so let's go for discarding the Foundry Inspector for that. Oh, hang on, it can't be countered? Oh wow, I didn't know there were any sagas that couldn't be countered, to be honest, so fair enough. Oh, of course, they've got the Chimil, don't they? Dirt. Alright, we just threw that away for no reason. And destroys our Greaves. Not against replaying my commander, to be honest, if we can discard a bunch of stuff or at least play it into replaying the commander. He tapped down his black mana into doing that, and he only has one source of black mana at the moment, so couldn't get his commander back. Gets to discover 5 with Chimil at least. Staying in the game all off one hit from the Kotis, and just to get into a Talisman. Again, not fixing his black mana. Lots and lots of mana for the 5 colour player though. Not sure how much colourless mana is going to help him though, because he's a guild based deck. A General Ferrous Rockrick is fine. Didn't look at all the cards previously actually, I totally forgot about that. ETB, had to leave the keyboard for a minute. So we saw the Faboro Elder, he might have Notion Thief, which is worth knowing. And the Niv Mizzet the Firemind as well. Just plays Niv Mizzet Reborn. Makes his first Golem token doing that. We don't have a 5 mana spell to discard, so I'm going to allow that into play. We can use some Simulacrum to get rid of this thing though. Alright, this time it is Cardur, Growth Spiral, get rid of the lands, Expressive Iteration, Peer into the Abyss, he won't be able to grab, Curiosity, he's got the combo for, and it was a Helm of the Host as well. So we see the Cardur, has to attack in elsewhere, makes another Golem token, we can't get through all this anyway, so not too worried about Cardur forcing us elsewhere. Still has 6 colourless mana floating. And there is a Notion Thief I'll just get rid of now, because we want to be potentially replaying our commander at some point. Still gets the Golem token from it though. Look at the top 3 cards, 1 into hand, 1 on the bottom, and exile 1. You can play the exiled card this turn. And the exiled card was an Ignat and a Seeker. So plays that for another Golem token. These will be decent mana rocks next turn. They'll be able to swing in and then tap for mana, so it might be worth getting rid of that legend. None of this has haste, thankfully. Bloom Tender, fine, we'll allow that into play. And now we are able to untap. There's a Palladium Mere, make a bunch of mana, and I think we'll just tap down the Hedron Archive and oh, I actually forgot about, I'm just thinking now, untap it with the Manifold Key. We could have made our commander unblockable with this and got through, so Cardur is making a difference. Untap the Hedron Archive before I sacrifice it, and sacrificing it draws us a couple of cards. Whenever you cast a colourless spell, mana value 7 or greater, sack it and search for a creature. There's nothing in hand for that unfortunately, but we should probably play it anyway. I'll go for the card draw with Makokoro as well. Each of us draws 1 card with this, and that is a Thran Dynamo. We might as well just play here. Ugin can bolt the General Ferrous Rockrick, seeing as how we haven't managed to draw into a board wipe. And then we'll play the Duplicant as well. Make it more difficult for him to swing in. If he doesn't want to be tapped out, he'll lose his vigilance here. And it might be that we go down next turn. Just have to make as many chump blockers as possible, I think. Although we've got manlands as well to potentially block with. Might as well block with the spells that we have to cast though, as opposed to losing lands. So we have to swing in thanks to that Cardur. Turns out that just risking getting down Ugin before giving our opponent all the extra treasure from the Smothering Tithe was the right move, but could just as easily have gone the other way, so obviously we weren't to know. Play the Palladium Mere, and the Hedron Crawler means that we're not going to be able to counter anything. We can't counter any of this guy's stuff, as we found out, thanks to Chimil anyway. So we'll just go like that. The Saga has our opponent mill 3 at the beginning of the main phase. Mills a Nylea's Colossus, a Royal Treatment, and a Basic. Still struggling a bit on his black mana. Gets 4 colourless from our urn though. So he just decides to scoop, and we'll see if we go down to the army of golems and stuff here. The golems obviously count as artifacts as well, so this urn has done some work for everyone this game. Been a little bit of a group hug game. Got 5 cards in hand. Felidar Guardian will likely flicker his commander, or maybe the Cardur. Nope, does do it on the commander. He only has to take 1 more hit from this thing to go down next turn. We don't have Greaves anymore, so if he removes that, then can't necessarily do anything. A High Alert, each creature you control deals damage equal to toughness rather than power, and then defenders can attack as well. Oh, it's the untap ability he cares about, so he's getting infinite mana with Bloom Tender and the High Alert, so with 7 cards in hand he's probably got us. Not looking at the Niv Mizzet thing either. I got a Conjurer's Closet, Soul Herder, Strionic Resonator, we don't care about, Kiora, Boros Charm, Command Tower, Marsh Flats, a Coiling Oracle, Gigantha, and a Swamp. So yeah, he's got a few. He had a couple of Simic cards to choose from. I'm guessing he chose to keep Kiora. Yes, he did, because it's on the stack. So basically we know he's got Soul Herder, Boros Charm, and the Gigantha. And continues to do the infinite mana thing. It could be that if we manage to distract our opponent away from our life total, he goes wide on Ugin and takes it out. If not, we can minus it down next turn and get rid of a lot of this stuff, including the Carder before it gets flickered. Although he does have Soul Herder here, so that could happen regardless. Plays Niv Mizzet the Firemind, we knew he had in hand. We can't counter anything. Enters, it draws a card with Kiora. And when he draws, it's a damage to any target, so if he can draw enough, he can just ping out Ugin. Decides to untap a permanent with the Kiora, untaps Bloom Tender. And then Aurelia is additional combat. He's got 20 damage on the golems alone. So I imagine he can go wide on us. Starts making infinite mana with Bloom Tender again. He's still got 5 cards in hand, 4 of which we know about. And then plays the Soul Herder. There's Gigantha, which draws a card again with Kiora. And that means it's a damage onto Ugin. Plays that Growth Spiral eventually. So draws another card and Niv Mizzet pings the Ugin, I dare say. Not sure if he got a land into play there off the Growth Spiral. But Ugin goes down to 1 loyalty. Probably got that island out of it. Can still add a mana of any colour thanks to the Lantern. A Keen Sense goes on to the Aurelia, so we'll draw a card when that deals damage to us, which will happen twice. He's got Boros Charm to give it double strike, which will probably be a good idea. Because, yeah, he'll draw 4 cards in total and this will deal a bunch of damage as well. Saheeli Rai. He could make a copy of the Felidar Guardian here and flicker his commander to refill his hand. And he has left up Boros mana. Instead goes 1 damage to each opponent and scry 1. Boros Charm does give double strike to the Aurelia, so he's now empty-handed, but not for long. Obviously drawing the card from this will deal with Ugin, thanks to the Firemind. So swing straight in at us with everything, I have to imagine. Everything's dealing damage equal to toughness now, so this will deal a bit less damage, but Aurelia will deal 1 more point of damage, so that's 8 in the air alone. And then everything untaps, ready for the additional combat. We'll get rid of a golem so that it can't attack us again. And then it's just a case of chumping. We'll chump the golems because they deal more damage. Oh, actually, one's going through to Ugin. Not sure why he's going through to Ugin, he doesn't need to. Yeah, so we'll make sure to let Ugin go down. Goes down regardless. Yeah, he's actually got 2 golems going in at Ugin. And then they just get to attack through again and likely take us out. So on first strike damage they draw a card. And Niv deals with Ugin anyway, so why were you swinging in there in the first place? Anyhow, our blockers go down. We go down to 22. Whenever an attacking creature dies, they get to drain us with the Carder. And then draw a card again on the second strike damage, so we're down to 20. And they get to attack again. They've got 4, 8, 12, 16, 24, 27 in total, so definitely have us. And there we are, down we go. Smothering Tithe doing a lot of work there, as it tends to, but our Blinkmoth Urn didn't do the typical thing of helping us more than it helped our opponents. Unfortunately, a little bit more luck on the draws, and we might have been able to wriggle out from underneath that, but Niv Mizzet Reborn is really, really good, because refilling your hand in the command zone, as is Kozilek, but once it's in play, you kind of need it to die to recast it again, if you don't draw into anything good. Like I said, I just built this to try and make use of Ugin, Eye of the Storms, but we didn't get to see it here, unfortunately. I can't imagine that anyone else cares about me playing Ugin Eye of the Storms. It's just a really good new Planeswalker that I'd like to get my hands on during a game. But if you do want to see me try this again, then let me know in the comments section, and I'll try and put a gameplay together for all of you. Big thank you to the patrons as usual. You are tireless in your support. I'm tribalkai. Thank you for watching.